Ladies and gentlemen, it is January 13th, 2025. It is Monday after Wild Card Weekend, and we have a lot to talk about. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like, that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss the stream. We had a great weekend. Well, some of us had a great weekend. Some of us did not have a great weekend. There's a lot of people moaning and groaning at work this morning. Some people may have called in because of their disappointment. The others may have not went to work because they were just so damn excited and they had a great time last night and they celebrated too much. I know that I celebrated yesterday and with the crew and the fam and the wrench gang. We held it down. It was a great time. Always a great time on our Sundays. So yeah, we got a lot to cover today as far as the playoffs, wild card games, and obviously we got a bunch of news we got to talk about as well. This first story here that I did want to get into is a lot of the bettors have been mad and upset in regards to Saquon Barkley yesterday. And so I think this is why sports betting is a problem, right? It starts to turn into the players having to answer questions about them making decisions on the field when they shouldn't have to appease people when it comes to sports betting. But let's go ahead and get into this one.
It's important because it's playoff football. If you don't get through this one, you go home. So we got the job done, and I don't like saying like we got the job done, make it seem like we got out here and we survived. We won a football game. That's a really good team. This playoff football. There's 14 teams in, and it's the best 14 teams. And at the end of the day, we did what we needed to do, and there's things we can improve anytime, no matter what. Even if we came out here and won 40-3, there's going to be stuff we can improve on. So we'll find out who we got next and get ready for those.
How tempting was it when you saw all that green grass in front of you on your slide at the end?
It wasn't tempting. Situational football, no mas. It's first down, you win the game. So get the first down, get down. Don't matter. It's important because.
So there you have it. I mean, if someone's sitting there thinking like, hey, well, maybe Saquon was, he just wanted to slide to, screw all the bettors. I mean, that's not the case. When you look at situational football, this is the playoffs, right? I could have got the touchdown for sure, but I'm just going to go ahead and slide. We run this timeout and we win the game. This is the playoffs. This isn't a regular game. This isn't a regular season game. This is to move forward to the divisional and have a shot at getting back or getting to the Super Bowl. And so, I think for Saquon Barkley, it's like, yeah, the touchdown would have been nice, but there's a lot of variables that could have happened. Who knows? He could have ran down that field and got injured. You just don't know. So, yeah, I'm sure everyone would have been so excited to get the anytime Saquon Barkley touchdown because there's money involved. But the way I look at it is, hey, this is a professional football player making a business decision to go ahead and slide and get out of there with the win. But let's go ahead and get into it. It says Eagles running back Saquon Barkley's late slide and playoff win stymies bettors. Saquon Barkley looked to be off to the races, headed for a last-minute touchdown that would have had no impact on the outcome of the Philadelphia Eagles' 22-10 win over the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, but would have cashed a lot of tickets for the betting public. More bets were placed on Barkley to score a touchdown against the Packers than were placed on any other players in Sunday's 3 NFL playoff games at multiple sportsbooks. And this is insane. This is absolutely insane. That so many people said, well, he's guaranteed. He's going to score the touchdown, and I'm going to put the money on it because it's going to happen. I know it is. Everybody chose Saquon Barkley to score out of all the other running backs. Barkley to score a touchdown was the third most popular leg of all NFL parlays Sunday at ESPN Bet, and he appeared destined for the end zone after breaking free on the Eagles' final drive. With Philadelphia leading 22-10 with 1:09 to play, Barkley took a handoff over left tackle and burst through the Packers defense and into the clear before electing to slide down after picking up the first down. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts took a knee on the last play to run out the final seconds and secure the win. Barkley said after the game, it wasn't tempting to try for a touchdown. It's first down, you win the game. So it's get the first down and get down, he said. Don't matter. Barkley, who was a minus 190 favorite to score a touchdown at ESPN Bet, finished with 119 yards rushing and no touchdowns. So there you go. There you go. I get a lot of people are mad and upset. I get it. I was there at one point. But the reality is this, there's a lot of opportunities that players could take that they don't. And there's a lot of players or a lot of opportunities that players take that you don't want them to take. Right? Your favorite quarterback, he's going to get 25 yards rushing, and then he has a kneel at the end of the game to run out the clock, and he loses that 1 yard, and now you miss out on that 25 yards because he had to take a kneel. That's the name of the game. Don't get mad, don't get upset, don't be in the players' DMs because you didn't get paid because you decided to place a bet. It's called gambling for a reason. But moving on. Shout out to DJ G. What up, man? Says most of us had a good weekend. I agree. Shout out to you, Frederica. Says what's good, Jay and the Rich Gang. To be for real, players been dealing with this forever from fantasy football too, without a doubt, 100%. Joe Smith, what up, man? Good to see you. Says fly, Eagles, fly. It was some good football yesterday. It was some good football Saturday as well. We got another game tonight. It's going to be the Vikings and the Rams. We will be streaming that, so make sure you are here for it. It's going to be a good time. But yeah, getting back to this, like I said, I think it's one of those situations where people have to understand that gambling is just that, right? You're taking a chance. You shouldn't be mad at anybody else but yourself. If you decide to put money on a game or if you decide to put money on an individual to do these things, you can't be mad and upset as far as the situation, especially when it comes to a player like Saquon Barkley deciding to go ahead and take that knee. You got the first down, run out the clock, get out of there, and move on to the divisional round. So I'm not mad at all. You shouldn't be either. Mark says gamblers will bet you anything that they can quit gambling right now. I agree. Joe says he is the best running back in the league. Even so, I'm not betting on him. See what I'm saying? Listen, you make the decision to bet. That's just the reality of it. When you decide to move that money out of your checking account, banking account, whatever it is, and place that bet, you are accepting the acknowledgement of being responsible for whatever outcome happens. It's not about the player. It's not about what happens in the game. You are responsible for placing that bet. So it's on you. If you mad about something, be mad at yourself and say, hey, maybe this ain't for me. Maybe I don't need to be sports betting because I can't handle it. I've got anger management issues. Maybe I should invest this money in some therapy instead of the sports betting. You can't let stuff like that get the best of you. You can't be mad and upset about it. And, I'm just hoping that we learn to do better. We learn to do better as a society. So shout out to you, Mark. Says, good morning, Jay. Does it bother you that sports or betting or sports books are now part of this equation? Yeah. I think there's two sides to it, right? I think if you remove the advertising and the promotion of sports betting from the NFL and NBA or hockey, whatever, directly, then it would make it a little bit more acceptable to justify, right? Like, okay, if the actual athletes in the actual leagues aren't promoting the sports betting directly, then I think that kind of, shifts a lot of the issues that we see and a lot of the problems that we see. And a lot of where a lot of the blame is placed, right? The league doesn't care about people blaming the players. They care about the money they're making from the sports books. So they're going to promote the sports books. And then obviously, we don't care about, that people are in players' DMs and telling them the worst kind of scenarios and what they would do to them because, their parlay didn't hit. The league's not dealing with that. That's on the players to deal with it. So I'm looking at it like, well, the players are in this situation where it's like, well, we're paying you all this money, so you got to deal with that too. You got to deal with what comes on the field. You got to deal with the refs, and you got to deal with the fans of your DMs because you didn't get that extra 5 yards they needed on their parlay. It's a bad situation. I don't think people are really digging into it as much as they should be, and unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. It's really unfortunate. Wendy Lee, good morning. Good morning. Up early in LA. Let's go. Let's go. Joe Smith says facts. Darv, good morning. Good morning. Shout out to you guys. Good morning to you all. Big T in the building. What up, man? What's going on with you? The NFL makes a majority of their money now from betting. Well, listen, when you've got the analysts giving their picks and, I'm taking the over and, Josh Allen, 235 yards, I'm taking the over. And then everybody's doing their rundowns. It's like, oh, well, everybody's doing it, right? If this person's giving, their take, and if this person's saying what they would bet, do you know how many people place their bets because certain analysts on these morning shows and on the pregame shows basically tell them what they would do? Where's the incentive in that when it doesn't hit? It's crazy. It's crazy. Shout out to you, Frederica, coming through with the $10 super chat this morning. Let's go. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the $10 donation. Says I actually made it to a live this morning. Let's go. Shout out to you, Frederica. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Says, would you accept a sponsorship from one of those gambling sites? I was actually asked this before. I was offered before. I did it before. When I first started getting into sports heavy, as far as the streaming and the commentating, I was offered a nice piece of change. I did do it. Y'all know I keep it real. I'm very transparent. I did do it, but I didn't feel right doing it. I didn't feel right doing it. I did it for 3 streams, and for me, it felt like I was promoting something that wasn't good for the people that for the kind of show I wanted to provide. And so from that point on, I stopped. And I also stopped sports betting myself. You guys know this. We talked about it. I actually stopped sports betting myself because I didn't want to be streaming and commentating on these games while I've got a damn bet placed on whatever, and I'm sitting there hoping that this situation happens while I'm trying to call an unbiased game. It's not possible. You can't sit there and be unbiased when you have money on something for something to happen. It's impossible. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how many years you've been in the game. I don't care how much money you got. If you got, let's say you got millions of dollars, you like, all right, I'm going to put $100,000 on the Broncos versus the Bills. You're not able to sit there and commentate this game with the Bills and the Broncos and have an unbiased opinion in regards to what happens when you got $100,000 on the Broncos. It's not going to happen. So I had to remove myself from the sports betting for that fact. And so, sure, did I lose some money down the road because I didn't take up Bet US and I didn't take advantage of the DraftKings emails? Hey, are you open to sponsorship? Or I didn't reach out to FanDuel because I have the numbers. I definitely got the numbers. I could definitely do it, but I chose not to, and I'm good with that. I'm 100% fine with that. I do well enough to where I don't have to sit here and be mad or upset because I chose to feed you guys, advertisements that I'm not really in agreement with. Now, on the flip side, someone will say, "Well, Jay, you're still promoting the sports, and the sports promote the sports betting." I don't have any control over that. I don't have any control over how the NFL promotes the sports betting. But what I do have control over is how I present the product of sports to you guys when it comes to the sports betting. So there you go. There you go. Darv says, I guess all the players have to check the parlays and hit their goals if they want to keep the fans happy now. And here I am thinking it's about winning. It's exactly right. Imagine you're sitting there on the bench and, everyone, well, here's your card. Here's your FanDuel Sportsbook card. And here's the lines. And this is what you got to do. And forget your own personal accolades and getting us a win. This is what you got to do on the FanDuel Sportsbook card. It's crazy. It's crazy. How was the fried apple corn muffins? I have not made them yet. I got the apples, got the Jiffy Mix. I have not made them yet, but I will. I will. Shout out to you, Joe. Let's go, man. Mark says correct answer without a doubt. Without a doubt. Y'all know we're going to keep it real over here. Shout out to you, Philip. Let's go. Durr says, so what we're saying is we have to stop the refs from betting on the Chiefs. That's exactly what we're saying. Shout out to you, Richie. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up as we keep it going. I appreciate you guys. All right. Next story. Next story as we keep it going on the morning show. It's all about legacy, right? And I feel like with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield has without a doubt put himself into the conversation as far as leading these Buccaneers into a great opportunity, into a great season, into a great playoff moment. But unfortunately, Baker Mayfield was not able to fully rise to the occasion. He did do his best, but like I said before, I thought the Commanders did have the edge, and it basically was displayed last night. So let's go and get into this one. It says Baker Mayfield takes blame for costly fumble as Bucs season ends. As we get into this one. Oh, I can't show that now. I know I can't show that. It'll be all over that one. I thought it was going to be a little interview. My bad. Let me go ahead and get into the story. Says Baker Mayfield takes blame for costly fumble as Bucs season ends. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield took the blame for a lost fumble in the fourth quarter of Tampa Bay's 23-20 wildcard defeat to the Washington Commanders on Sunday night, and said that while it will wear on me for a while, he's proud of the way his team competed this season. The fumble came on a botched jet sweep with rookie wide receiver Jalen McMillan. Mayfield lost control of the ball as McMillan went past him and tried to dive on it. Instead, it was recovered by the Commanders linebacker Bobby Wagner at the Tampa Bay 13. Bobby Wagner has been a beast. If you've watched Bobby Wagner over his career with the Seahawks and everything that he's been able to do, he's been phenomenal, and he's still playing at a high level. And as we keep it going here, I definitely think, he should get more than just his flowers because he's definitely been a huge contribution to these Buccaneers or to the Commanders. So here we go. It says that comes back to me just timing it up correctly. Mayfield said, first one all year that it happened on, so obviously the timing of it not great. Being backed up, defense had done a hell of a job getting us the ball. Another fourth down stop, and yeah, unfortunate, but that falls on me. The play happened on 1st and 10 for the Tampa Bay 15 with 11:58 to go in regulation. Washington had made it all the way down to the Tampa Bay 1-yard line on the previous drive, but Bucs defensive lineman Kalijah Kancey took down running back Brian Robertson for a loss of 2 yards, and the defense forced 3 incompletions for a turnover on downs. So yeah, I mean, if you watch the game, you obviously seen what happened, right? It was a back and forth battle for the most part. The Buccaneers definitely made mistakes, and fortunately for the Commanders, they, like I said, they had the edge offensively. The defense was not able to, keep them at bay. And then at the end of the game, you've got the ball in Jaden Daniels' hands, and he shows up. And so I had a feeling in this game that this team would be different for the Buccaneers. This team would play with a little more heart, a little more talent. And they come down the field, hit that field goal, and the rest is history. Commanders will be, moving on. So without a doubt, we're not going to discredit the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield because they did a hell of a job getting to this point. I think, once again, Baker Mayfield definitely has a bright future, but we do have to give a round of applause to these Commanders and Jaden Daniels. 100%. 100%. Without a doubt. So let's get into it. Shout out to Darv says, my 8-year-old is a Bucs fan. He wasn't happy last night. Like I said, there's a lot of people that weren't happy last night at all. Joe Smith says Baker is done. I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, he's got, the 2-year contract, made it to the playoffs. It was a close game. I don't think he's done. I think Baker's proved himself. You know, he's got a place in the NFL as long as he can keep playing, you know, high level football. Joseph, copyright, yeah. Well, we don't need that. We don't need those kind of issues. I'll be trying to stay far away from those issues. Gay Smasher in the house. What up, Gay Smasher? Says good morning from Cedar Key, Florida, Bills Mafia country. Let's go. We gonna get to Bills Mafia in a little while. We gonna get to the Bills Mafia in a little while. Dar says he still has the Bills to root for with B though. We watch so Little Bucks that he has asking where Keon and Al were. Let's go. Shout out to Little Man. He's like, all right, the Bucks ain't doing it. All right, I'll just hop on here with the Bills bandwagon then. It's all good. Mark says Commanders are the last Cinderella story left in the playoffs. I agree. We're obviously going to get into the playoffs for the divisional games tomorrow because we got a lot of stuff to cover today. But we'll get into the divisional matchups tomorrow because we still got one wild card game left with the Vikings and Rams tonight, which we will be streaming. So make sure you guys are here for it. Mark says, wow, this betting storyline could be its own stream content. Thanks for your transparency and honesty. Without a doubt, Mark, for sure. And obviously, you guys know, like, if you know, everyone's not able to watch in the morning. So what I do is I take the clips and I split them up throughout the day so people can still, you know, watch the content. Because sometimes they don't get the update, or maybe they're working, or maybe they're just busy, or maybe they're still asleep, right? They're on the West Coast. And so I'll break up the clips so you guys can see them throughout the day in a shorter format and still get the content. So there you go. Wendy Lee says that was a good game, very physical. Yes, it was. You know, everyone loves the high scoring and, you know, crazy, ridiculous plays and stuff like that. That Commanders Buccaneers game was definitely a physical, you know, hard fought playoff game. And, you know, that's what we like to see in the playoffs. Sometimes we don't want to see a blowout all the time, right? We don't always want to see a Steelers Ravens and a Broncos Bills. We don't want to see a Chargers Texans. We want to see a close one. And that was a close one. It was a great one. It was exciting for sure. But let's keep it going. So let's break down. Where is it at? Really? Thought I had it up here. Did they move it on me? All right. No problem, y'all. Let me pull this up here. We needed to get into this story for sure. And here we go. Okay, perfect. Kyren Lacy, if you're not familiar with the LSU college athlete, he is back in the news, and for the wrong reasons. He was projected to be the number 1 draft pick in the NFL, and it feels like every week now we're getting some crazy, ridiculous story about a new player. So let's go ahead and get into this one. Kyren Lacy jailed on charges stemming from a fatal car crash. Former LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy accused of causing a crash that killed a 78-year-old man December 17th and then fleeing the scene without rendering aid or calling authorities. Turned himself in to authorities Sunday night, was jailed, and then released on $151,000 bail, according to police records. LaFourche, Louisiana Parish Sheriff Office indicated that Lacy was charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run with death, and reckless operation of a vehicle. These are a lot of serious charges. This is a very, very serious situation. A warrant had been issued for Lacy's arrest, and police on Friday said they had been in contact with Lacy and his attorney to turn himself in. According to a news release from Louisiana State Police on Friday, Lacy was allegedly driving a 2023 Dodge Charger. Can we please stop with the Chargers? I'm not playing. It's not even funny. Can we please stop with the Chargers? It is getting old at this point. On Louisiana Highway 20 and recklessly passed multiple vehicles at a high rate of speed by crossing the center line and entering the northbound lane while in a designated no passing zone. As Lacy was illegally passing other vehicles, the driver of a northbound pickup truck abruptly braked and swerved to the right to avoid a head-on collision with the approaching Dodge, a Louisiana State Police news release said. Traveling behind the pickup was a 2017 Kia Cadenza, whose driver swerved left to avoid the oncoming Dodge Charger. As the Kia Cadenza took evasive action to avoid impact with the Dodge, it crossed the center line and collided head-on with a southbound 2017 Kia Sorento. Police allege that Lacy, 24, drove around the crash scene and fled without stopping to render aid, calling emergency services, or report his involvement in this crash. Let me stop it here for a minute. This is a lot. This is absolutely a lot. And well, number one, we do have to, give our condolences to the Marine who lost his life. May he rest in peace, first and foremost. And secondly, I don't care what you got on you. I don't care if you're intoxicated, anything. If you're involved in a crash, I'm so sick of seeing people leaving the scene. You left a man out there who lost his life, and you decided to take off because you are scared, you're a punk, you didn't care, you just wanted to get out of it, you didn't know what to do. And see, this is a big problem for me, because as an LSU player, you being a top draft pick, there's no one in your corner that's telling you right from wrong. There's no one teaching you empathy. There's no one teaching you, hey, if you get into a situation, how to handle it. There's no one giving you advice and saying, hey, if you ever get into anything, you make sure that, the people around you are taken care of. You make sure that you don't just abandon accountability. No one's saying that to these players. This is, and I'm just going to be frank, this is nasty shit. This is nasty shit. And so when we hear these stories, it's like, well, why do we keep seeing it? Why do we keep seeing it? Now, unfortunately, this is way more severe because a man lost his life, but we see it. The hit and runs, the driving, the situations where, people end up in the hospital, and every year we see it from athletes. And I know that we're not going to be able to ever really fix it, but I'm just thinking like maybe somewhere down the line we won't see it as much. Maybe down the line there can be some kind of group or some kind of situation where people are not only coaching these kids to go out there and play football, but they're also coaching these kids on how to live life and how to exist in society and not put other people in jeopardy. No one's saying that you can't go out there and have fun. No one's not saying that you can't go out there and be young and make mistakes. But this isn't a mistake that you can come back from. And unfortunately, you've ruined someone else's life and their family's lives, and then you've ruined your own at the same time. So at what point do we stop seeing these kind of stories and these kind of situations? Because we can blame it on the culture as much as we want to. We can blame it on the culture all we want to. What is it going to take for it to stop? That's going to be the question. But let's keep it going. It says Herman Hall of Thibodaux, Louisiana, who was a passenger in the Kia Sorento, later passed away from his injuries suffered in the crash. According to the state police, Hall was 78. The drivers of the Cadenza and Sorento also sustained moderate injuries, according to police. Lacy's agent, Rocky Arsenault, said in a statement that his client is fully cooperating with the authorities. Now, Lacy played 2 seasons at Louisiana before transferring to LSU in 2022. This past season, he had 58 catches for 866 yards with 9 touchdowns and declared for the NFL draft on December 19th, 2 days after the crash. What? Let me read that back to you one more time. This past season, he had 58 catches for 866 yards with 9 touchdowns and declared for the NFL draft on December 19th, 2 days after the crash. So you thought that you was going to go into the NFL after you had a hit and run? You thought you was just going to move on? Is that what that means? Y'all, this is crazy. This is probably one of the craziest stories we've read all year. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. You filed or you declared for the NFL draft 2 days after the crash. You didn't give a damn about what happened. I don't give a damn. I'm going to the NFL. I don't care what happened. I ain't check on those people. I ain't stopped. I'm still going to the NFL. This is nasty work, y'all. This is nasty work. Let me hop into the chat. This is crazy. This is crazy. It says it's worse when you have a fast car. Just slow down. I mean, listen, these young boys can't handle these fast cars. They can't handle, especially as a Hellcat. They can't handle all that power, man. You know, they get all the money. They get the fast cars. They've never had this kind of stuff before. So they don't know how to handle all that power. And when they get it, they don't know what to do with it. It's so amazing to me, right? And I'm not saying all of them do it because we know that all of them don't do it. But we see it time and time again. They get all this money. You know, they got the NIL deals now. They get things gifted to them. And then, you know, they never had this before. They don't know how to act with it. And that's not an excuse. That's just a reality. It's just a reality. It's sad. It's sad. Sad to see someone lose the future in football because of drinking. I agree. Because, listen, the only reason why you ran is because you had something on you or you had something in your system, right? I mean, that's the only thing that I could see as far as why you decide to leave the situation. And then, you know, I think that's the biggest problem as far as, you know, this whole thing. If you would have stayed and if you would have checked on people and if you would have, you know, showed a little remorse and showed a little sympathy and tried to help out as much as you can, maybe this situation would be a little bit different, even though there was a life lost. You should have stayed. You should have made sure that people were okay or try to help out as best you can after the mistake and after the problem that you caused. Like I said, this is nasty work. Says dodging the Charger, Dodge Charger. Rest in peace to the soldier. Everyone I know with the Charger has been in an accident. Unfortunate. And we can't blame it on Dodge, right? Because it's just like blame. I'm not going to go there because that's a whole nother topic. You can't blame the car on the crash. You have to blame the user. It's just like the other stuff. Like I said, we ain't going there, but you know what I'm talking about. You can't blame the car on the crash. It's the person in the car. So we're not going to sit here and blame Dodge because of the situation. You have to blame Kyren because he was in the situation. So Michael says, Jay, I feel that everyone knows right from wrong, but they have to take accountability for their own actions. It's not on other people to hold your hand your whole life. I agree. Once you become a man, once you become an adult, the decision-making is all on you, right? Between birth and 18, you learn right from wrong. At 18, once you step outside that box into adulthood, everything is on you. So once again, sure, you're still going to make some mistakes, but how big those mistakes are is what defines what happens to you in your life and how you affect others. 100%. And that's the reality of it. Educational institutions are failing the kids as well. Many are churning out activists. That's a whole nother story. Whole nother story. NFL needs to provide life coaching for those young players. Well, unfortunately, he's in college still. So, but I agree. I think the NCAA as well as the NFL need to provide these services. I think the NCAA and the NFL need to provide some kind of life coaching for these players. Some kind of I know they got mentors. I'm just not sure if the mentor thing really works. I'm talking about training in classes specifically on life. Specifically on life, how to handle yourself, etiquette, things like that. And I think that could go a long way. And I'm not saying that everyone has to take it, right? But I am saying that maybe this should be available, and maybe they should advocate for it more. Listen, it's more than just donating to a cause. It's more than just looking good in front of the cameras and saying that we did this for these children and this. It's more than that, right? And so when it comes to these, preemptive measures, right? Not after the fact. Well, they need therapy. Not after the fact, preemptive measures, things that need to happen before it gets to this point, before the decisions are made. So, will it ever happen? I'm sure it probably won't, but it's wishful thinking. Clean up the problem. I agree. Shout out to Wendy Lee. It's so sad. Remember Henry Ruggs and the Raiders. Sometimes it's the youth and status they are experiencing. Riggs did stop. Ruggs. He's supposed to be out in a couple years, something like that. A couple years. I seen a quick update about it. I got to go back and check it out, but he's supposed to be out, and a lot of people were talking about, well, should Henry Ruggs get another opportunity in the NFL? And it's sad because we look at people who pay their debt to society, and then we say, well, yeah, I believe this person should have a second chance. And then for others, we say, well, no, we don't think they should get a second chance. And so at the end of the day, it comes back to, well, who are we to judge, right? If this individual is given a second chance, and I believe that it didn't come from any one of us, I think it came from the man up above, right? If God is willing to give anyone a second chance, then who are we to stop it, right? But at the end of the day, it always comes down to the severity of what happened. So it's hard to say if Henry Ruggs deserves a second chance or anybody else. I'm not here to judge. I'm not going to do it. All I say is this. I hope individuals like Henry Ruggs can figure things out and then make better decisions after they serve their debt to society. So there you go. There you go. Life skills class is a joke. Well, nobody's saying, sit in this damn class with a clipboard and take some notes about life. What I'm saying is bring in individuals who have had issues and problems that can teach the young generation what not to do and how to move forward, how to not spend money, how to not blow your money because it's not going to last forever, how to pay taxes, how to deal with relationships, how to stay away from DV situations. There's a hell of a lot of that people could talk about and fix with the younger generation that nobody's talking about. So forget the class. Let's be hands-on. This shit ain't a joke. This is real life. I don't find it funny. I really don't. Jeff King, what up, man? What's going on with you, bro? Good to see you. Good to see you. Jamie says the mindset of, do you know who I am? Seems to be an issue for many. Sad, just sad. Without a doubt. I agree. Carl Color, good morning, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Tyrone says, did the victim get a second chance? Just saying. I totally agree. DJ Jean says maybe the court will dismiss the charges. Hell no. No. Ray Lewis got 3 chances. I mean, I could reach into this bag. We going way down into this bag, y'all. We know that certain people are privileged to get out of certain things, and we know that certain people aren't. I'm not talking about color. I'm not talking about nothing like that, but we know that certain people are privileged and can get out of certain things. And what does it come down to? Because it's not about race. It comes down to money. How much money? How good of a lawyer do you have? Does the lawyer know the judge? Are the judge and the lawyer? Listen, y'all gonna have me go down this path. We could do it. We could do it. It's the morning show. I told y'all we gonna be more candid on these morning shows. When it's the game time, it's the game time. We chill, family friendly. But on these morning shows, we really gonna dig deep. We gonna dig deep. We gonna get down to the nitty gritty. We gonna open it up. Because I can say a lot of the stuff that them other people can't say. I don't get paid by Disney. So the problem is the younger generation doesn't hear when you're trying to explain to them. I disagree. For the most part. It all depends on how early you get a hold of them. It all depends on where you get them from. Are they too far gone? Then you might be right. But if you're able to get them early and mold them into become something greater than what the environment would allow them to, then they will listen to you and they will pay attention. Shout out to Philip, says these players sit through so many lectures about this stuff, they tune it out. I'd like to see it. How are they being lectured? What exactly are they being taught? Darth says only a few people can learn from other people's mistakes. Usually people have to learn by making a mistake themselves. Some don't learn even then. I agree. 100%. Michael says, I don't believe that professional life coaches is the answer, because if you're not going to listen to your parents, grandparents who love you, what makes you think that you're going to listen to a stranger? So let's back it up. Let's back it up. How many of you had parents that worked all the time? They made sure you went to school. They worked. 9 times out of 10, you got home. Parents still working, right? They may see you in passing, ask you how your school's going and stuff like that, right? All right. Now you got your after school activities, you got your football, you got your basketball, whatever, you an athlete. Now you're with your friends and the coach. So how much time are kids really spending with parents for them to truly have an influence, when the influence comes from the teachers, their friends, and their teammates? And maybe the coaches. Well, the coaches only care about the play. The majority of them, there's some that'll spend time with certain individuals, but they're not going to spend time with every player to make sure that they're doing okay in life. Coaches have favorites. That's the reality of it. So you can't expect the teacher to do it either, because the teacher is there to teach a curriculum. They're there to teach the subjects. They're not there to teach the children about life. So the only time a parent has the time to teach a child about life is when the child gets in trouble. And by that time, it's already too far gone. So when we talk about, well, if they're not going to listen to the grandparents and the parents, maybe the life coach wouldn't work. They haven't had the time to listen to the parents, because so much time goes by between the relationship and the kid growing up, because they spend so much time with everyone else, because the parents are working to make money to provide for the children. Think about that for a minute. Shout out to Jeff, says, I'm a firm believer that if someone makes a mistake in life and they pay what's owed, jail, prison, money, they have paid their debt, with the exception of that, and then have no, without a doubt. I agree, Jeff. 100%. Shout out to you, George, says, hey, Jay, what a glorious day to be a Bills fan. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's a great day. Darv says, I was a total latchkey kid. I had to get myself up and ride my bike to school. Got home to an empty house for 2 hours out of school. Darv, thank you. You are a prime example. But now, once again, it doesn't mean it's an excuse for you to do wrong, right? The questions is, have you been taught? Have you been through enough, and have you been raised well enough to learn right from wrong at an early age? Because if you didn't spend enough time being taught right from wrong, you're not going to not know how to handle certain situations. And so that's why we see the things that we see. So without says, but they had the time to listen to their parents, they still don't. You want to walk down that path now? You want to walk down that path now? There was once a time where the saying was, it takes a village, right? It was a time where if you were doing something wrong, the neighbors held you accountable as a child. It was a time where if the neighbors seen you out doing something bad, you looked at them like they were your parents. See, we tend to forget a lot of these things that have happened because society has made us forget them. We were held accountable at some point. There's nobody holding anybody accountable no more. Especially not in the neighborhood. Hell, I haven't talked to my neighbors in like months. Months. So as society has changed, so has the way that parenting has, and so has the way that children have responded to certain situations. And this is the reality of it. Tyrone, you hit the nail on the head. Bring it back, Tyrone. Tyrone, we got to bring it back. It all stems down to discipline. Once they remove discipline from the household, that opened up the door for children to act the way that they're acting now, do the things that they're doing. Once you started seeing these parents go on Dr. Phil, the mom crying and upset, he hit me, he beat me up. Please help, Dr. Phil. If you don't put him in his place or her in their place. When we started seeing the moms and the dads run to Dr. Phil together, that's when it was over. That is the exact moment it was over. Because I'm from that era where I had to go get a switch. And I remember the last time I got that switch was the last time I made the mistake I made. And I straightened the hell up. But see, we can't do that now because that's abuse. And I'm not advocating for abuse. I'm advocating for discipline because discipline is what's needed to create structure. And some of y'all can't handle structure as far as the kids go. And that's where we're going to leave that. That's where we're going to leave that, y'all. I told you we was going to reach deep into the bag. We was going to reach deep into the bag. Darv says reality is a much better teacher than I am. 100%. For sure. Wendy Lee says, can't trust the village now. I agree. We were just talking about this a couple weeks ago. Remember back in the day? I'd say maybe between like 8 to 10, you got to play a little farther back then. Listen, I was 10 years old. I was miles away from my house playing with the friends. Far. I'd go across the city, hang out with my family, come back home. Back in the days. Now, you can't let your child walk down 4 blocks by themselves without somebody knocking on your door. Things have changed. How do we fix it? Jamie says, I know if I got in trouble at school, I was going to get it worse when I got home. Says, was I abused? Absolutely not, but I knew respect. Exactly. Shout out to you, Jamie. Mark says, who remembers the paddle on the wall in the principal's office? Taking it way back. So Don says, don't bring a little switch. No, Don. You go listen, we're going to talk about this and then we're going to move on. So I used to go get the big switch. And because I knew the big switch didn't hurt as much. and then I would be told to go get a smaller one, and then that would make make a matter. That would make a matter because I would go get the big switch because I knew the small switch hurt. And then that walk to go get a smaller one was absolutely terrible because it was 10 times worse because you had to go back and get that smaller switch. So there you go. There you go. Says no phone, then walk to and from school, even cook meals. I was cooking when I was 8 years old. Listen, this is a whole nother topic, y'all. This is a whole nother world that we in right now. We gotta keep it going. Let's get to the next one. we was definitely going down the lane. All right, next story. Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury announces latest retirement from boxing. Let's go ahead and get into this one.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
So there you go. Tyson Fury. I feel like heavyweight boxing really hasn't had the light and hasn't had that magic that it used to have. And so Tyson Fury is definitely, one of the few left in the heavyweight game that actually, proved that he would be great, proved that he could fight, and, kind of brought back heavyweight boxing. So let's get into this one. Former heavyweight champion Tyson Fury announced his latest retirement from boxing Monday, 1 month after losing a rematch with Ukrainian Alexander Usyk. Fury has called it a career on multiple occasions previously, most recently in April 2022 after his win over Dylan White. However, the Brit returned to action in December that year. I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing, Fury said in a video posted to social media. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. It was unclear why Fury made a reference to Turpin, a famed 18th century English highway robber and horse thief. Fury also retired in 2013 and 2017 in social media posts, with both statements to be short-lived. Fury was beaten for a second time by Usyk in December as he looked to regain his heavyweight world championship belts. A long-touted fight with Anthony Joshua has been rumored for this year, with both fighters in later stages of their respective careers. Shout out to Anthony Joshua. I think he was underrated for sure, without a doubt, as we keep it going. Fury was upset with the unanimous decision when he lost the December 21st rematch with Usyk in Saudi Arabia. Usyk landed 179 of 423 punches thrown, 42%, while Fury landed 144 of his 509 punches thrown, a 28% clip. Fury had acknowledged making mistakes, notably by showboating too much. I mean, that's been his thing for as long as we've known Fury. He loves to showboat. When losing their first fight in Riyadh in May by split decision, his career record is 34-2-1 with 24 knockouts. The losses to Usyk were the only defeats in Fury's career, which began in 2008 and included one draw against American boxer Deontay Wilder in 2018. Fury, Wilder, I think those two, it's been a wild career for both of them. And I think at this point, they're at the end of their careers, respectively. I think they put on a good show. I think they definitely left their legacy on the game as well. And, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. We know how this thing works with boxers, though. Sometimes they need the money. They'll come back for a crazy fight. And to be honest, I think money always talks in boxing. Money always talks, especially when you got a name and you can command millions. So we'll see. We'll see if Tyson's done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Shout out to you, Don. Says, I would have loved to see Ali fight Lennox Lewis. Wow. That would have been very interesting. Ali versus Lennox Lewis. Ooh, both in their prime? That would have been wild for sure. Man, just the thought of that. Because Lennox Lewis, good IQ, good strength. He definitely put on a masterclass against Mike Tyson. I think Lennox Lewis is definitely an underrated fighter for sure. He's definitely up there in the greats, but I think a lot of people don't give him the respect that he deserves for sure. For sure. Says heavyweights always seem to have shorter careers. For sure. Listen, those guys, they're taking a beating, and they're much bigger, much more powerful. And the brain can only take so much, man. Can only take so much. DJ Jean says Jake Paul was. Oh, I'm not saying that. That's crazy. I'm not saying that, man. That is crazy. The Centrum Silver that is wild. Absolutely wild. Shout out to you, Michael. Says I'm the youngest of three. I'm 44. Both my parents worked. My dad had 2 jobs. However, they made time to teach right from wrong and keep their foot up our butts so we stayed out of trouble. Sure, without a doubt. Not everybody has that though, Michael. You were blessed to have that, and I'm sure it worked out great for you, but not everybody has that. And I think that's the point of the conversation. But shout out to you, Michael. Shout out to you. Tyrone says in Lennox Lewis prime, he took money to step aside. I mean, there's a lot of rumors about the boxing game. You know how that goes. Don says way underrated. I agree. Or says they used to fight 5 more times a year also. Yeah, well, like I said, the boxing game is so it's so different now. I know we got the Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford fight coming. That's going to be in September. We will be streaming that. But as far as big fights and huge names, we don't really have that many anymore. And that's why I think the Jake Paul and the Mike Tyson fight was so huge, because everyone wanted to recapture that magic, and we got robbed, right? Everyone wanted to recapture the magic of what it used to be, and that's why the Mike Tyson fight was bigger than probably what it should have been, because boxing hasn't had that magic. And I think it's unfortunate that Jake Paul was allowed to capitalize on it because he wasn't from that era, which is sad. So yeah, boxing's wild now, and it's not, like I said, what it used to be. Hopefully we get a couple more good fights like the Crawford and Alvarez, or hopefully we can kind of get, some boxers that can bring back the magic, especially to the heavyweight division, because that is the one division that kind of resonates with everybody. We love the lightweights, we love the welterweights, the Roy Jones Jr.'s of the world, the Manny Pacquiao's, Floyd Mayweather. Some people hate him, some people love him. The Fernando Vargas's of the world, the Prince Nazi. These were the guys that really propelled the sport and made it fun and exciting. And so we don't really have that anymore. And so there you go. Tyson Fury announces his retirement. Says that was a slap in the face of the boxing world. I agree 100%. Jeff says I couldn't tell you who's in the boxing game right now. I used to love it. See what I'm saying right there? It's like it's so different now, and that's why I'm so excited for Alvarez and Crawford, because Canelo's from that like he's just on the border of that old generation going out and the new generation coming in. Alvarez is like basically right there, right? Crawford made a name for himself. He's an excellent fighter, so we'll definitely have a good show in September. But what else after that, right? Who else are we getting after that? We got to start looking at the women, because Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor was a hell of a fight. Them two, man. So if they have a 3, we definitely going to tap into that, because they brought the excitement for sure. And without a doubt. So I'm excited. Hopefully we get some more good boxing coming. But there you go. Shout out to you, Purple in the building. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit that like, hit that thumbs up as we keep it going with the morning show. It's January 13th, ladies and gentlemen. Monday. Good wild card weekend. And let's go ahead and get into this one. Texans, Chargers, Texans. My biggest problem coming into this game was the expectation of Justin Herbert, and he did not deliver. And it was really unfortunate for me because I gave the Chargers the edge. Vegas gave Chargers the edge. And I feel like Chargers fans were definitely robbed of the experience as we go and get into this one. Score is 32-12. Texans take it. Let me get down here to the stats. Passing yards, Justin Herbert, he was 14 of 32, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Now, someone's going to say, well, Jay, the interceptions weren't really his fault. His wide receivers, weren't able to catch the ball, or they bobbled the ball up and it got picked off. And I would say, yeah, you're right. His wide receivers did not show up for him. They were not able to catch the ball for some reason. I don't know if it was because they were nervous. I don't know if it's because they weren't ready. But unfortunately, he'd throw the ball to them. It'd go right through their hands. They bobble it up. It get picked off. And, this is one of the worst case scenarios that I think I've seen out of Justin Herbert in a playoff situation. On the flip side, CJ Stroud, right? He didn't have a huge, spectacular game. He didn't go out there and throw for 400 yards. He did just enough. His defense won that game. But he also had 22 of 33. He was 282, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He got off to a slow start, and the spark for this Texans team came from the defense. They're the ones that pulled it off, and they get a heck of a lot of praise as far as taking the win. Dobbins had 9 carries for 26 yards. Mixon was 25 of 106 for 1 touchdown. McConkey, he played a hell of a game. He had 9 receptions, 197 yards, 1 touchdown. Collins had 7 receptions for 122 with 1 touchdown. So, key takeaways from this for me. Once again, we look at the time of possession. We've been talking about time of possession for the last few weeks. Whoever had the ball more was going to win the game, and that showed up here for the Texans. They took it 32-12. They'll move on to the Chiefs in the divisional round, which I think is going to be absolutely insane. We'll get to our divisional round predictions tomorrow, so make sure that you obviously subscribe to the channel if you have not. Click that bell, turn on your notifications, and of course hit that like, that thumbs up. Make sure that you also comment down below. Let me know what you think the score predictions will be for that game and who's going to take it as well. As we move on. Next up, I can't wait to get into this one. Let me hop into the chat first. Says that's why home field matters. I agree. Bills fan 1970 says Bills all the way this year. Let's go. Wendy Lee says Chargers need to tweak the offense. Justin is good. Okay. Listen, I think you've made it to the playoffs. You've shown that you've been underrated. Can you fine-tune these things, and can you build a better chemistry? I do think losing, Keenan Allen was a big deal. I do think, him losing the wide receiver that he's probably built the most chemistry with did play a toll on the situation. And so it's like, listen, you have to use what you have and become greater with it. And so that's where Justin Herbert is right now, without a doubt. Jeff King says, hoping those Texans can rise up one more time and beat those Chiefs. And no, I haven't had a drink today, not yet. I'm starting to get a little hot. Let me take this jacket off. Like I said, we're going to get to the predictions tomorrow. We're going to get to the predictions tomorrow. Here's the reality, though. Once again, if the Texans are going to win, it's going to be that defense. That defense, if they play lights out like they did against the Chargers, Patrick Mahomes makes some mistakes. They may be able to capitalize on those mistakes, in which we know that Patrick Mahomes is playing. He's not playing mistake-free football. He's definitely been making some mistakes there. And I think it's going to be a good one. We'll get into it tomorrow. For sure. DJ Jean says, so we can DoorDash you hot wings and get your feedback. I'll send the ranch. We don't do ranch. And I'm not eating hot wings. I need medium or mild. All right, let's get into this one. The Ravens and the Steelers. Now, this is another one where I feel like the Steelers fans were robbed. I feel like there was so much hype around Tomlin. There was so much hype around Russell Wilson, that unfortunately the pressure was all on Wilson for sure, without a doubt. He was expected to do too much. The moment was way bigger than him. And it was a tall task for, the Steelers team to take on the mighty and powerful Ravens. Now, on the flip side, TJ Watt didn't do nothing. Nothing. He's out there for 60 snaps. Nothing. And so when TJ Watt is not able to produce and be productive, well, then, this Steelers defense is going to allow everything that, the Ravens is willing to do. But let's go ahead and get into this one. As far as these stats go, Russell Wilson, 20 of 29, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't have any picks. On the flip side, Lamar Jackson, 16 of 21, 175, 2 touchdowns as well. On the rushing side of things, Harris, 6 carries, 17 yards. Derrick Henry, 26 carries, 186 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, before we continue on, if you look at Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson, you say, well, Russell Wilson had the better game, right? If it's just based off looking at the stats, we know a lot of people like to go by the stats. Well, right there, Russell Wilson had the better game, 20 of 29, right? 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. So when you look at George Pickens and him being able to ball out for the most part, I know a lot of people were mad because they feel like he could have did more. I think he did just enough. The big problem is this. When you get down the stretch and you're down against the Ravens, it is going to be very difficult to not only win, but it's going to be difficult to keep it close, especially if that offensive line is letting people through and you get sacked. Russell Wilson was out there trying his damn hardest. You could tell, you could see it in his face. He didn't want to lose this game. And for me, I think his defense definitely let him down, because I feel like if the defense would have held this to a 1-score game, it may have been a little different. But it definitely got out of hand once the Ravens put up that 28. Receiving side of things. George Pickens, 5 receptions, 87 yards, 1 touchdown. Likely had 3 receptions for 53. And then once again, like I said, we're going to talk a lot about time possession. And there it is. Almost 40 minutes. You are not going to have a chance to win a game if the other team has the ball in their hands for 40 minutes. This is going to be the theme moving forward to the divisional week. Holding that ball. If your coach can figure out how to make sure your team can score while getting the ball back, holding on to it, slow methodical drives, picking up those first downs, letting that clock roll, they're going to decrease the opportunity that you have to score and have the ball in the offense hands. And that is what is leading to these solid wins for these teams in these playoffs. So there you go. Ravens 28-14. They take the W. They'll move on to the divisional round against the Bills. Oh, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited for it. We'll be streaming that game. We'll be streaming all the games through the Super Bowl. So make sure you guys subscribe and hit that thumbs up. And of course, drop it below in the chat. Let me know what you guys think as far as your score predictions for the Bills and the Ravens. All right. Let me hop back in the chat. Says Chiefs just beat the Chargers both times and the Texans hammered them. Matchups matter, but the Texans certainly look capable. I agree. Shout out to Purple. Russell Wilson. He needs to retire. I agree. I think you've had a good career. I think, you don't have to hold your head down. You've obviously got the bag. I think it's time to move on. And I think, the Steelers need to get a capable quarterback. Tomlin's just skating through. He's skating through all those winning seasons. He made it back to the playoffs. I guess that's something. But he's going to have to get a solid quarterback and maybe pick up an additional wide receiver or two to create some offense, and then get TJ Watt back in order. Because if he's not back in order, then the Steelers defense is going to continue to have problems as well. For sure. Not gonna lie, Ravens scare me. I ain't scared. There was people that was saying yesterday, Jay, I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. What? For what? There's no reason to be scared. There's no reason to be nervous. I told y'all we were going to have a good time yesterday, and that is exactly what we did when it came down to these Bills and these Broncos. Obviously, Bo Nix started off. That 43-yard touchdown to Franklin had everybody, oh, they scored. And I'm like, well, we chilling, we good. It's one touchdown, right? I expected Bo Nix to have a big play. It just so happened to be his only big play. As we get into this one, the Bills take it 31-7 and a landslide victory. Let's get into the stats. Bo Nix, 13 of 22 for 144 yards, 1 touchdown. We know Bo Nix loves to throw the football. Guess what? He was held to 144 yards. On the flip side, Josh Allen, 20 of 26, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the rushing side of things, Nix had the most rushing yards. Williams couldn't move the ball. We were talking about how the Bills' rush defense has been terrible all season. Well, guess what? They showed up in the playoffs. We had no complaints yesterday, Saturday, due to the run game and as far as the rushing. But Bo Nix was 4 carries of 43 yards. James Cook absolutely balled out. 23 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. And on the receiving side of things, you had Sutton, 5 receptions of 75 yards, and Curtis Samuel, 3 receptions of 68 yards and 1 touchdown. Once again, we're back to the same thing. We don't have to change the story, change the narrative. Y'all know we're going right back here. 40 minutes, 41 minutes and 43 seconds of us holding on to this ball. We not going to give you the opportunity to score. We going to hold this ball. We going to let this clock roll all game, get down the field and score. And so when you look at how it's becoming now in this league, who's going to be better at this? You want to know who's going to win a game or who's going to have a better opportunity of it and where the predictions come from now? Who is better at managing the clock now? Because if I go back to the Ravens, it was 39-3-3. We did talk a lot about Sean McDermott. We're talking about Jim Harbaugh. And at this point, it's starting to look a little interesting going to this one. Well, the Ravens got Derrick Henry, and the Ravens are going to do this. They do. I said that Derrick Henry was going to be the X factor for the Ravens. But now you're going into Highmark Stadium with this Bills team that knows how to play real football now. You're running into Highmark Stadium with Josh Allen and this team that plays team ball. Everybody eats. We're not relying on one individual no more. We going to pass the ball to Cooper. We going to pass the ball to Curtis. We going to get Shakir involved. We going to bring in Johnson. Yeah, we know Davis is out, but okay, we still got Cook. And keep overlooking Cook because he going to run for 100 yards on you. Oh, he wasn't in the discussion with Saquon and Henry. That's fine. We don't need him to be. Let them get the spotlight. We just going to watch James Cook run for 120 yards in the playoffs and score a touchdown. I mean, Saquon Barkley ain't even get a touchdown this week, even though the Eagles did win. So there you go. Without a doubt, though, I do want to give some props to the Broncos fans. They did handle this loss well. I think they were definitely very excited, about Bo Nix, and they should be. I think he will be the future of the franchise. I don't think this is the last we'll see of Bo Nix. He had a great season, 100%. And so, we'll see how Sean Payton, draws things up next season. We'll see who they draft and bring in. Probably get them some more help at defense. I think that'll be another thing. And, maybe some additional, running back services as well. So, but yeah, there it is. Bills win 31-7, and they'll move on to the Ravens, or the Ravens will move on to the Bills next week. And we'll get to those predictions tomorrow, like I said as well. So there you go. There you go. Shout out to you, Tactical. Says, we miss you, Derrick Henry. Sincerely, everyone in Tennessee. And Tactical speaks for everyone in Tennessee, without a doubt. Next up, Packers and the Eagles. And this is another one. this is another one. I feel like it's the same thing as the Justin Herbert situation in those Chargers. When we look at Jordan Love and the expectation of these Packers, we looked at the great year they had. We looked at Reed. We looked at Dobbs. We looked at these individuals coming out and balling all season long, and then you completely dropped the ball in the wild card round. Maybe it was too much for you. Maybe the lights were too bright, or maybe that offensive line wasn't giving Jordan Love enough time to really get anything going. They started off with the horrible fumble on the kickoff, lose the ball, Eagles score there, and that basically, to me, set the whole damn tone of the game. And after that, the Eagles just basically ran and had all the momentum. So let's get into this one. As far as the stats, 20 of 33 for 212 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Jalen Hurts, 13 of 21, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the rushing side of things, Jacobs, 18 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 25 carries, 119 yards. On the receiving side, Reed, 4 of 46. Smith with 4 receptions of 55 yards. We go down here. Time possession. We held the ball longer. Also, our defense was better, and you guys really were not able to avoid the turnovers. You had 4 turnovers, costly turnovers. Almost the same amount of yards, right? Almost the same amount of yards as we break this down here. Let me just bring this back up. Almost the same amount of yards, and so this was all about that Eagles defense. This is all about their ability to create the turnovers, and Green Bay was not able to recover at all in this game. Low scoring game, only 32 points on the board. Eagles take it 22-10. So there you go. There you go. I do think this Eagles team look great as they move on to the divisional round, and like I said, we'll get to the predictions for that. I like what I'm seeing out of the Eagles for sure. I think that defense, it's definitely going to carry this squad. And then, that offense with Saquon Barkley doing his thing, he didn't even have to score for them to get a win. That shows you that defense can win championships for sure. For sure. Shout out to you, Frederica. Shout out to you. And last but not least, y'all, the game of the night. The Commanders and the Buccaneers. This was a shootout, back and forth battle, 100%. Both sides played their heart out. Both sides definitely gave it their all. But the Commanders were able to edge out the Buccaneers in a 3-point game, 23-20, going down to a field goal victory. Let's go through the stats for this one. As far as Daniels, 25 of 35, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, 15 of 18, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. Daniels on the rushing side of things, 13 carries of 36 yards, and Irving, 17 carries of 77. McLaurin on the receiving side of things was 7 receptions of 89 yards, 1 touchdown. Mike Evans, 7 receptions, 92 yards, 1 touchdown. This was a very even match. The back and forth battle, McLaurin, Evans going off, doing the best they can. Daniels running under pressure, picking up those first downs when needed. This was definitely a back and forth battle, and probably one of the best games from the sense of, competitive nature that we've seen in these playoffs. But as we keep going here, this is where it's going to get interesting, right? The same theme every time. Who has the ball more? Just like we've seen, minute or two, we had the ball more. 35 minutes, 26 seconds, 24-34. In these playoffs, those who control the ball will win the game. You work down that field, you run that clock, and in this situation with the Buccaneers, obviously they made the error, and Bobby Wagner made the play. Jaden Daniels comes down the field, sets up for the field goal. Commanders take it 23-20. They'll move on to the divisional round, and I'll tell you this right now: I'm actually pleasantly surprised by Jaden Daniels and this Commanders team. I think they were definitely underrated. I think they're a little slept on because of Daniels being a rookie, And I think that may have been, the scenario as far as why the Buccaneers didn't take it as serious as they did, and the unexpected happened. So with that said, they'll move on. We'll get to the predictions for the Commanders tomorrow, or Commanders as well as the divisional round tomorrow for all the teams. And so there you go. There you go. Second Doink win this year, without a doubt. Without a doubt, that game was definitely wild, for sure. Dar says, I want the Commanders versus Bills in the Super Bowl to pay them back for 30 years ago. That would be insane. That would destroy all narratives of what it would be, right? Bills Eagles, Bills Lions, potentially Bills Commanders would be interesting, to say the least. But if the Lions end up in the NFC Championship, they're gonna want to have a word about that. They're gonna want to have a word about that for sure. Tactical, yeah, we're doing Vikings Rams tonight. I will be on later tonight for sure. For sure. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you all the listeners, all the watchers. Thank you all for joining the morning show. I hope you all have a great afternoon, and we'll see you tonight for the Vikings versus Rams. Have a great day. Peace out, y'all. Peace out.